revered actress already. By then she certainly was, saying, you know what, you don't always have to like me, sometimes you can hate me.
I think she's given performances that almost equal Sophie's Choice, especially in Cry in the Dark, a movie that few people saw, that I think is right up there at the top of her work.
Meryl made 11 films in the 1980s, a remarkable output, especially in light of the fact that during the same period of time, she and her husband, Don Gummer, had 4 children, a son, Henry, and 3 daughters, Mamie, Grace, and Louisa.
Well, I think it's amazing that during the 80s, she had 4 children, and she raised them, and she didn't hand them over.
Her kids, when they were younger, traveled with her to the sets of the movies that she made so that she was with them.
When I first interviewed her, the whole interview was about her conflict of wanting to act and acting and doing the right thing for her children.
Meryl's conflict only got more pronounced as she was approaching 40, an age when many Hollywood actresses find their career choices dwindling.
It was an incredible juggle, especially as she was hitting a time where there weren't as many great roles for women.
I know she'd say being a mother was the most important thing, but I think, in a funny way, even she would admit that boy right there wrestling her to the floor was that old devil ambition, and not ambition to be famous, but ambition to act every great role in the world, do everything, be every kind of woman.
In the spring of 1990, that desire to do every kind of role led Meryl to move her family from the East Coast to Los Angeles.
The money is insanely seductive. If you do those big Hollywood movies, whether they hit or not, you get millions. And if you're an actress in your 40s, you feel like maybe you better cash in while you can still make those paychecks.
But money is only one measure of happiness, and quality of life is another. Meryl and her family never seemed completely comfortable living in Los Angeles.
She speaks about those years in LA as being very oppressive, as, not being able to go out of the house without washing her hair, to take her kids to school, being on display all the time. And I think that is soul-numbing for any creative person.
Meryl's films during the Hollywood years were very different than her most famous roles. The accents and serious parts were gone. Now she was playing it for laughs.
Of the films that she made in the late 80s and early 90s, films like She-Devil, Postcards from the Edge, Death Becomes Her, Defending Her Life, I don't think any of those were huge hits, but it wasn't because of her, and it wasn't because people didn't appreciate her doing comedy.
When Postcards from the Edge came out, people said, wow, she's really funny. So she's in her 40s, and she's still proving that we don't know nearly everything there is to know about Meryl Streep.
Meryl herself wasn't always comfortable in this new phase of her career. When she was making Carrie Fisher's Postcards from the Edge, even she was worried she wasn't really right for the part.
She said, when I was making that, I was just furious with myself because I said, you're too old, you're too fat, you shouldn't be making this, it should be for a really young girl. And she said, and I went back and looked at it later and I thought, hey, you look pretty good, you really brought it up.
Meryl really brought it on when she tackled, at 45, a full-throttle action movie, The River Wild, directed by Curtis Hanson. True to her commitment to her roles, Meryl insisted on doing most of her own stunts.
Well, I wanted my girls to see somebody doing something brave, a woman doing something physically brave. And I wanted them to see me doing something physically brave because they know that's way out of character.
But at the end of a long day of shooting, Meryl's bravery almost had disastrous results.
Curtis Hanson wanted her to do one more scene going down the river, and she said, you know what, I've had enough for the day, I think we should wait until tomorrow. And he said, one more. They did it. She nearly drowned. She came back up to him. He's shaking. He's a wreck. And she says, next time, when I say we're done, we're done.